This is an Irish independent podcast.
Hey, welcome. So Tuesday at the Open in Portrush, weather is a little overcast. Decent breeze, actually. You and me would find it tough going, that kind of a breeze. Not cold. And like yesterday, lots of fans knocking around. So last night was a swim in the sea, humble brag, dinner, a few drinks at the Harbour Bar, in good company. So life is good. On my walk in this morning, I spotted US Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley. He was grinding away on the putting green. JJ Spawn, recent US Open champion, was doing the same. And it was around then that Rory McIlroy was finishing up a practice round. He was with Darren Clarke and Tom McKibben. It was another 7 a.m. start for Rory. He spent a lot of time signing autographs afterwards. The cheer he got in 18 was loud. There were Northern Irish flags flying, and Thursday is going to be loud. The word is Rory will be teeing off late afternoon for his first round. And then around 10 a.m. as he's signing autographs, into the media centre came Jon Rahm. Now, if you'll allow me, here is my sanctimonious thought for the day. So I sat through his press conference and it was all very pleasant. Now, I really like Jon Rahm. As a player, he's the business. As a person, he's just obviously intelligent and he's interesting and he speaks so well in his second language. He knows the history of the game. In fact, he talked in the press conference about his dad being a history major and how he's also a history buff and watches history documentaries and on the history of the game. Despite being a Masters and US Open champion, he was unequivocal about the place of the Open in the game of golf.
In my opinion, the Open Championship is the most prestigious event you can win in golf. For my understanding of the game and the history of the game, I think the Claret Jug is the most special one, right? And there's an order to it too, because it changes venues, right? So if you can win it in St. Andrews, I don't think anything in golf can come close to that. And then there's obviously different ones that have a lot of significance as well, right? But the Open, to me, I think it's what it is. It's the home of golf. Golf started in this part of the world, and it's the oldest championship we have, and that's what makes it so special. The type of golf we play, the links courses, where in theory is meant to be played, the elements, the weather, it's quite unique. I don't think there's a word to describe it. It's just altogether is what makes it so special.
And on he went. He talked about the differences between Irish links and Scottish links and all of that kind of stuff. So if you like your golf, Jon Rahm is a great presence. But throughout this very gentle press conference where he's asked about his favourite hole at Portrush or what he likes in a par 3, I couldn't help but think to myself, we are so past the point of even asking about live or sports washing. John, you had tens of millions in the bank. The Saudi regime has an atrocious human rights record. You're taking money directly from them. They're using you. You're letting them. You were already so rich. How can you square that? Why? Like, really, just tell us why. I didn't ask that question. I actually think it would have prompted an almost audible groan from the room if I'd asked that question. Politics and high horses at the door, please. I don't know. I guess everyone's sick of asking at this stage. And maybe in the last couple of years, there are just too many absolute horrors in the world right now, and the Saudis don't feel so front of mind. So that was that. Off went Rahm. His mood is good. His game is in serious shape, by the way. He has a big chance this week. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go from high horse to some existential angst for a few moments. This was all before midday. The surprising thing is, the source of angst was world number 1 Scottie Scheffler. So he popped in to see the media shortly after Rahm, just after 11 a.m. Lots of questions about getting to grips with links golf. You see, Scheffler's a home bird, doesn't really play outside of America. This is only his 5th Open. He never played links as an amateur. So this is all still pretty new to Scottie Scheffler. By the same token, you could hear the golfing IQ. He is learning fast.
You know, I always found it interesting when I watched links golf, and I wondered why people were using so many different clubs, because in the States, you just use a 60 because you need to get the ball to stop. In order to control the ball in the States, especially on the golf courses we play, you need spin to be able to stop the golf ball just because the greens are so fast. Here, it's a different challenge because it's the firmness which makes it challenging. And so trying to apply a lot of spin and hit these low, nipping wedge shots doesn't provide the same amount of control that it does in the States. Here, it almost seems like the quicker you get the ball on the ground rolling around the pin is the quicker the ball is going to be able to stop. But if you hit shots in the States with a lot of topspin, it's almost like the ball's never going to stop rolling. And so here, the challenge is judging that firmness to where you can just get the ball rolling around the pin. In terms of when you're playing in the States, you got to get the ball to stop at the pin. So it's just a bit of a different challenge. And so some shots it may be the putter, some shots it may be a 9-iron, some shots it might be a spinning shot.
And there was plenty of that. Good, solid golf talk. Detailed answers on grain and club choice and spin rates in the wind. Golf nuts, you can seek it out at your leisure. There were questions as well on what books he's reading. It's the Bible, basically. He has no time for anything else. But then right at the end, he was asked about the feeling of winning. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to play a slightly longer clip here because this was really good. He opened the door to his innermost thoughts about his life and what he does with it. And frankly, what is the point? And it was worth a listen.
It feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for like a few minutes. It only lasts a few minutes, that kind of euphoric feeling. And like to win the Byron Nelson Championship at home, I literally worked my entire life to become good at golf, to have an opportunity to win that tournament. And you win it, you celebrate, you get to hug my family, my sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. And then it's like, okay, now what are we going to eat for dinner? You know, life goes on. Is it great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf? Yeah. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes just to think about, because it's literally worked my entire life to become good at this sport, and to have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think is a pretty cool feeling. You know, to get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? You know, this is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, you know, places of your heart. You know, there's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number one in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And, you know, I really do believe that, because, you know, what is the point? You're like, why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know. Because if I win, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to get to the next week, and it's going to be like, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And it's just like, we're back here again, you know? Sometimes I just don't understand the point, you know, because I don't know if I'm making any sense or not, but am I not? It's just one of those deals, you know. I love the challenge. I love being able to play this game for a living. It's one of the greatest joys of my life, but does it fill the deepest, you know, wants and desires of my heart? Absolutely not. I love being a father. I love being able to take care of my son. I love being able to provide for my family out here playing golf. And, you know, every day when I wake up early to go put in the work, you know, my wife thanks me for going out and working so hard. And when I get home, I try and thank her every day for taking care of our son. It's just, if my golf ever started affecting my home life, or it ever affected the relationship I have with my wife or with my son, you know, that's going to be the last day that I play out here for a living. You know, this is not the most important thing in my life. And that's why I wrestle with, why is this so important to me? Because, you know, I would much rather be a great father than I would be a great golfer. That's what's more important to me. We work so hard for something that's so fleeting. I mean, it really is. Like, the feeling of winning just doesn't last that long. You know, it just doesn't satisfy, is how I would describe it. It's an unsatisfying venture. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, this is not the place to look for your satisfaction. This is something it's just not what satisfies me.
Okay, we will bring things to a close there, Scottie. That was fascinating. Thank you very much for your time.
I hope that made more sense than it felt like it did.
And with that, we all stood up and tried not to think about our own accomplishments and the point of them, because, well, John Hopkins is here. He is a long-time golf writer. This is his 53rd Open, so he's seen his fair share. These days, he's the senior writer with Global Golf Post, and John was sitting in at the Scheffler press conference. And I said to him, for world number one accused of being very dull, that was not a dull answer.
I think it was arguably the second most extraordinary 10 minutes in a press room that I've ever encountered in 53 years of writing about golf. The obvious question to me then is, what was the first? And the first was the demolition by Phil Mickelson of Tom Watson at Glen Eagles in 2014, when a mischievous American journalist who knew what was coming because he'd seen Mickelson out on the golf course and asked him what was wrong, pretended that he hadn't and brought it up in full view of the team. And as I say, that was the most devastating takedown of someone. What we have just seen is the most interesting and enlightening and heartwarming that Scottie Scheffler is so far from being an automaton, though his results suggest that he is almost an automaton, that actually at heart he is nothing more than a family person. If it was golf for my family, he said in there, no question my family will come first. He talked brilliantly about how, you know, he wins 2 events, he moves on to the next event, and what he's just done doesn't matter at all. He's got life in a perspective that is very unusual, and he articulated it in a way that is even more unusual. As I say, one of the most electrifying 5 minutes I've heard in a golf interview tent for a long time.
Yeah. So life in perspective, I always suspected he had. But what really jumped out to me is, was his wrestling with almost an existential, what is the point of this?
Yeah.
You know, really? Yeah. I thought he got more joy from winning and more joy from golf. I mean, he talked about joy from competing. But even when he said, what's the point? You know, being world number 1, what is the point of this? He was almost thinking aloud as he went. It was this kind of stream of consciousness. And he's like, I don't really know. What is the point of this? Do I want to inspire someone to be the next world number 1? But like, it's not fulfilling.
I think that's interesting because to most people who play professional golf, to become world number 1 would be fulfilling. That's what you want to do. You want to play better. And as he himself said, you know, it's a great achievement. He didn't say, look, I'm proud of him, or what if he did? He should have done. I'm proud of myself for having become world number 1. He's a man in search of something that I'm not sure he's found.
Yeah.
And I hope he does find it. But in his journey, he is proving very interesting to talk about it. And he doesn't look like a man who's wrestling with something. It just came out. But it almost as if he might have said, well, you know, I'm gonna next few weeks I'm gonna do this and that and the other. It was very matter of fact. And I suppose the reaction that we had, we were astonished because it was so matter of fact, and that doing what we assumed he wanted to do, i.e. become the best in the world, wasn't in fact what he really wanted to do. That's the surprising thing.
Yeah. He almost finds himself in this position and is trying to make sense of it.
Very much so.
Yeah. I had never seen him as wrestling as he walked up those fairways, so I have a new found appreciation for what he might be thinking as he's walking up.
Well, and so I think same would be said for everybody who heard him. It was astonishing.
You've seen your fair share. How does Royal Portrush as a venue and as an atmosphere suit?
This is the second time I've been to an Open here. I've been in other times, and as I drove back from the course last night at about 7 o'clock, I was driving towards Port Stewart, so the sea was on my right, and there was this wonderful, wide, sunlit carpet coming towards me, and I thought, gosh, this is what Opens are like. Some long summer's days with the setting sun and a gentle breeze on what I think is perhaps the best combination of visually and testing golf course in these islands. I mean, the views are fantastic. Birkdale is wonderful, but the views are not very good. Lytham is wonderful. The views are not very good. Turnberry is terrific. but it doesn't have quite so many really good holes as here. So I think this is, as I say, the best combination of a visually stunning and competitively difficult Open venue.
Okay, we'll take that. Which champions of the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, however far you want to go back, just on the theme of, God, that was an interesting press conference. Which player or players have interested you most, psychologically, personality-wise?
Well, Tiger would have to be top of the list because I could never get past the shield. However one phrased a question, he had an answer. It could be a quite simple, don't want to talk about that, or he would just stop. He had a very interesting technique, which was he would stop when he had said as much as he wanted to, and then he would stare at you as much as to say, well, carry on if you want to, but I'm giving you a really hard stare, such as he was looking down the line of a very difficult putt. And it took a bit of balls to follow up, and even if you did, he'd carry on with the stare, and you knew that he was not going to say anything more. He was the greatest challenge. I mean, I'd love to have spent more time with Peter Thomson going back a long time, because he was cerebral. A man who would play in the Open, come in, take his sweater off and settle down in front of a typewriter and write a column about his round in the Open that day and send it back to the paper in Melbourne. He was a chemist. He was cerebral. That's the word. And the more time you spent with him, the more rewarding it was.
Were his columns good?
His columns were fine. Yeah, they tended to be a bit, well, this is what I did today. But then that's what you want. You don't often have an Open champion writing for you, so you do want to know what he thought about his round.
Was the motivation for that money?
No, the motivation for that was to satisfy his restless mind. He had a very restless mind, as Scottie has and Tiger had, but he wouldn't disclose how restless it was to us. We just had to pick up little bits here and there. Yeah. And because you're peeping at Tiger from behind a screen, and you duck to one side and then you duck to the other side, but you never really got hold of him.
No. Of all the English champions that you would have seen, I mean, I kind of have a residual interest in Faldo as well. Your impressions of him?
Well, I mean, I could have mentioned him because he was very interesting. He was a man run by women. His mother was dominant. His wives were very influential, who was dedicated solely to becoming the best golfer he possibly could. And the depths that we have seen with Scottie, and I hinted at with Tiger and Thompson, were not there with Nick. Life was much simpler. I want to be the best golfer I can. I'm very good at it. I'm going to work really hard at it. If David Ledbetter will take me to one side and teach me how to change my golf swing, I'll do it for a year, however long he wants me. I will really commit myself. In some ways, he's the opposite of what we've just seen with Scottie. I mean, he really wanted to be world number one. Scottie is proud to be world number one, but what really matters to him is his family. So the alpha and omega of golfers, those two. I like Faldo, and for a while I got on well with him, and he started playing proper golf at about the time that I started writing about it, and we were not miles apart in age, and in due course I wrote a book about him. We've drifted apart since then as he's gone on and become much more successful and did his television work and so on. But no, I retained an admiration for his dedication, whereas I think I'm going to admire Scottie's mind, and I certainly admired Tiger's ability to play the game and his inability to tell me what he really thought about most things. I had a professional regard for Tiger because he did what he wanted to do better than I was able. I couldn't penetrate the screen, is what I'm saying.
What are your impressions of Rory these days?
I think Rory is absolutely terrific because he's a God-given charm. He has a God-given talent. He is admired by his peers. He has risen to that level without seemingly there being any currents of animosity towards him. You don't see people whispering behind their backs, oh, there goes Rory, what a big head he is, or anything like that. I was delighted. I saw him on the Saturday night at Oakmont. I beg your pardon, I saw him on the Sunday. I saw him on the Saturday as well, but I spoke to him on the Sunday. And he was like a man who had the weight lifted from his shoulders. All of a sudden, he'd A, had a good round to finish. B, he was off for 3 weeks over here. He was going to see people and friends and family here. He hadn't seen the Masters, and he hadn't been able to celebrate with them. He was looking forward to moving into his house at Wentworth. He was as different from the somewhat grumpy and downcast Rory he had been on the Saturday night as day is from night. And I thought then, this is a new chapter beginning, and it's been continued. You know, beautiful play last week. He's come into this championship saying, reminding us at the beginning of the year, he had told himself, I'm going to enjoy myself more, I'm going to be happier, I'm going to relax more. He said yesterday how he's going to embrace all the adoration. He's not going to try and isolate himself from it as he did 6 years ago. I've got nothing but admiration, and to continue that, I think, and I hope this doesn't sound too pompous, but I think that the job that his parents did with him, I mean, I'm a parent and a grandparent, and I think of the job I did with my children and my children doing with their children, and I look and I hope that all is good. I think what his parents did with him was terrific. And they deserve huge credit for the hard work they put in and everything that they did for him. And their reward is seeing how popular he is and what a wonderfully gifted golfer he is.
John, real pleasure. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's easy. It's not. I mean, writing is hard. Talking is easy.
Whoa. Don't let that secret out of the bag, okay? He's not wrong either. So that is a heavy morning. Sports washing wins, and what's the point of anything? At a certain point in the day, then, it's good to remind yourself why people are here, because the vibe is very, very happy. It is worth remembering for a second. Golf, as I'm sure you all know, is a rotten spectator sport, possibly the worst. Here is the deal. You do the whole park and ride thing a few miles away from the course. It's slow. There are queues. You're outside the ropes. It's 3 and 4 deep. It's too hard to follow the best players. You probably get wet. You walk 30,000 steps and you pay way too much money for a ball marker in the merch tent. And yet people flock for this experience because they understand this game is so, so hard. And when you stand a few meters away from the best in the world hitting golf balls, it is honestly a thing of wonder. It actually takes your brain a few moments to adjust to what their ball does versus what your ball does. So I headed for the practice range. I watched Joachim Neiman, Sepp Straka and Justin Thomas hit 50 or 60 perfect shots side by side. A bit down the line was Bryson DeChambeau. He's a very tanned man. Lots of the golfing folk are very tanned. And he was hitting shots way up high, far too high for an open, but you could feel the power. Somebody at one stage passing asked what was the story with the height. We're testing balls, was the reply. Further down to the left, a chipping green and shots of tight lies that are not possible. I'm talking downhill lies, links grass, over a bunker, and then these soft swings. Ball pops up in the air in slow motion. It is a joke. Honestly, it's a joke to watch. And people who love their golf and understand what they're seeing stand and watch. And if you can appreciate what you're seeing, it is suddenly worth all the hassle and all the money to come and see it for real. Fans walk away doing practice swings to each other, mimicking the unattainable. When I was there, I saw two familiar faces. Ken Brown, Ryder Cup player, has played in 15 Opens to boot. And to lots of us, he is Ken on the course on the BBC, rolling balls down hills for decades. With him, Simon Holmes, Sky Sports, and a man who has coached, amongst many others, Nick Faldo, Ernie Els, Lee Westwood, Thomas Bjorn, and Bernhard Langer. We stood together watching on the range, and honestly, it was just nice. I said to them, it's been a while since I've been at a professional tournament. You forget how good they are.
You have no idea until you come here and watch the ball strikes and see the consistency, how good, or at least what good looks like.
Yeah, and the enormous power they hit it with these days. We're just watching Wyndham Clark here. He just hits it like you can't. 300 yards it's flying through into the breeze, no problem at all. It's the quality of strike, the power, all the fitness they do. But this week is a bit more than that. You've got to be able to control your flight of your irons.
Is this when you guys were out there in your pomp 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the quality of golf shots we're seeing now, how does it compare to, say, back in your day?
Well, it's just a different game, a completely different game. The ball's going a lot further, they're fitter. The conditions of everything have improved no end. The quality of the turf, the greens, everything you look at is like playing a different game. But I think that's been the case if you went to Harry Varden or then moved on to Bobby Jones. The golf has just evolved like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might not sound right, but the skills you need to play now are less than they were when you go back to Harry Varden, because there was so much more variability. So,
Oh, I think definitely the game's got easier. The ball was the first thing that made a massive difference, much more stable, especially in crosswinds. And then the next thing, the combination, Lee Westwood, legend. The combination of the ball and the driver, if you put those two things together, then the thing that you need to do to make the biggest gain is have club head speed. So the reason the guys are in the gym is because getting over 173 miles an hour ball speed, getting up to 183 is worth $1 million. You can actually see how much it's worth in your strokes gained. So you'll follow the math. So it's like, what should you do first? The first thing you should do is you should get so strong that you can get to that speed to get the gain. So the formula is different. If you used the old rubber ball in a persimmon shot and you were in the rough, you couldn't really compress the ball and get it out, so you had to be in the fairway. Yeah. So speed wasn't the thing you needed. You needed to deliver exactly the same pressure with an iron shot to get it to flight properly, to get it to spin properly, to land at the number.
And that changed the complete tactics of the game. The whole game was a different game. They stand on the tee and give it a rip with a driver. In our day, there was plenty of irons off the tee. The key was to find the fairway.
Do you think that holds for links?
Absolutely, yeah.
They're just bombing it either way.
Well, there are a few more questions on the links course, because if you bomb it here, there's a few dog legs you can run through the corner. But the percentages say it depends what lie you're going to get. And the rough here is brilliant. I mean, it's got some nice wild flowers in it, but you don't know what you're going to get. You could have an unplayable lie in the bracken, or you could have a lie you could easily reach the green. So the tactics of the game and how you're standing on most tees is completely changed. In our day, finding the fairway was paramount.
Yes.
Now, getting it down there a long way has proved a big bonus and a value.
How do you like the course?
I can't tell you how much I like the course. And you cannot possibly get a better golf course than this to play. I've never seen a better golf course in the world ever. It's got every attribute.
No, I would agree. If you take what was originally here, it's very difficult to come in and change it for the better. But so Martin Ebert, and he's done the same at Turnberry, which is absolutely incredible. Martin Ebert, by taking away 17 and 18, which kind of felt like they were in a field, and changing it all around, is very hard to do. So I mean, I think that art is incredible. But this is what I think about this. If you take St Andrews, it's out and it's back, right? If you take this golf course, it's all over the place, and there's lots of different dog legs. All of the fairway bunkers are a half shot penalty, maybe even more. And so you see people like Brian Harman winning events like this because he has a way of navigating around. Brian Harman might only have 3 chances of winning in America. He's a medium hitter. The days of the medium hitter are gone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The conditioning is as good as you can get. Everything about the golf course is a delight, but there's a lot of decision making. But I don't think, well, I know there aren't better in the world any better 18 holes. When I say all the greens here, they've got their character, the strategy, the way you've got to play it, how you're going to land the ball, and their perfect putting surface. This is the ultimate test of a golfer's play. We need a little bit of breeze to make sure everyone's
keep manners on them.
Exactly, keep things organised. But other than that, and we know there will be a bit of breeze, and it's the ultimate test for a golfer.
Yeah, agree with that.
Wow. You two still love the game?
Oh man, I'm in a break. I've been doing live on the range, which is basically watching the range through my TV camera, and I was waiting till 12 o'clock, so I come in behind, watch Wyndham Clark hit, watch Joaquin Niemann hit, watch Rosie hit, Rahm is just over there. Like, if you love the game, you've got to come and watch it live.
Who's your favourite swing out here?
Oh man, there's a bunch of them. I mean, I like the ones who can flight it and move it around. So I like a Shane Lowry type of golf where you can see the creativity. Rahm, I've just watched Rahm hit balls, a low draw, a high fade, moving it around. I think the one-dimensional player, I respect the ability to repeat.
Yeah.
But if you've got an art, you know, the science is one thing, and I respect that completely. But if you can see the artist move his ball around, play with the spins, the launch, and that's the test you need around this golf course. That's amazing to see that.
Yes, if you're going to win here, you're going to have to be able to work the ball both ways and flight it. You know, it's a necessity. So it's wonderful to see the boys hitting. And I love golf, and I love the people in golf. I don't know why, and particularly this week, the local galleries here are absolutely second to none. They're kindly, I'm glad you're here, I'm glad you're here, I'm glad you're here. I said, I'm glad to be here too.
It was interesting, Brandon, you say that. I was chatting to Adam Scott on Saturday last week, and he said to me, oh no, you're... Anyway, and he said to me, this isn't the Open yet, but it's coming. I'm at the Scottish, and he goes, this is the best gallery in the world to play against, because I hit a shot and it was only to 25 feet. It's not a great shot in terms of the proximity, but given the angle and everything, it was a great shot. Yeah. And everyone went crazy, and they recognised it as a great shot. He said the noise is different, the intelligence is different, and it's a shame they only get to play a couple of rounds around links where people really respect it.
Not a mashed potato in sight.
No, it's none of that. No, there's just joy and a delight to see all the top golfers playing here in Northern Ireland. It's lovely.
How do you pick a winner out of this bunch?
Man, you've got to pick a winner on Sunday afternoon, I think. I mean, who could know? I mean, the emotional choices are obviously for an Irishman, Northern Irishman, to win here, and Lowry and Rory and I don't know, Tom McKibben, but there's just a real collision of talent here. You know, does Scottie Scheffler have the dominance that he has around the links that he has in the US? Those skill sets are the same. I mean, I think you've got to throw the dice and see what comes out.
It's very difficult. One thing for certain is you'll have to be a shot maker. I mean, and you've got to control your nerve. You've got to have a bit of luck. Lady luck plays a little bit of a part in it, and self-control is so important this week, because if you get a little bit out of kilter in it, 2 or 3 silly holes, and your chance of winning may have just been frittered away. It's a great test, but what a strong field it's put together. It's incredible. The who's who of golf. We're looking down the range here, and here they are.
I know. I saw in terms of picking a winner, I saw someone make a point that, like, the US Open at Oakmont, with a half hour to go, I couldn't pick a winner. How am I to pick a winner on a Tuesday?
No, I think I think there will be around a links course like this, unless the draw is extremely favours one side or another, the talent will rise to the top because the test is so pure.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's what you're looking for. That's why the competition around here will be such a good competition. This course will find the best player.
Yeah. As a final one, have you been in the course rolling balls and showing angles? Yes. Okay.
I had a miracle last night because I try and fit in with players on Monday afternoon. The rains came and I thought, oh dear, this is going to be hard work to fit in and get out of the way. And thunder passed by. They closed the course, and I had all 18 holes to myself. The sun shone. It was like the heavens and they all looked down on me to say, "Here we are, Ken. It's all for you."
The golfing gods respect Ken on the course.
The golfing gods were shining on me. They really were. And it's happened to my life. The golfing gods were shining on me.
You know, it's funny.
I just want to make one other point.
Sorry, go.
For us, when I think I played in 15 Opens.
Did you? Right. Okay.
And for us, as a home player, it was our chance to be playing against the best players in the world and the great golfers. You know, Lee Trevino or Jack Nicklaus, whoever you got drawn to play with, that was the only time in the year you ever saw them. And of course, for us, I'm playing with Jack Nicklaus. You can never guess what. You know, I'm playing with Seve. I did play with Seve quite often, but the real top American players, they're mystery men to us. Apart from, still, you just saw them on television.
Yes.
But there they were, hitting balls, and your heroes, you were playing with them. So it's a special thing, and all the people have qualified this week, pre-qualifying, that are going to be out there playing with somebody in the Open Championship. It might be their week in the sun.
It's all the different ingredients of golf.
Yes.
Well, listen,
That's the Open.
I grew up watching you roll balls down slopes at Augusta. It helped me fall in love with the game, so it's lovely to meet you. Honestly, it's great. And Simon educating us on Sky Sports down the years, super as well.
Thomas Dietrich's first memory of golf was Ken on the course at the Masters.
It's a lot of people's first, like with a child.
It was his first memory of golf.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
When you're a kid watching and the golf's on, but then you come on and do a little something, as a kid, you're like, oh, is this, it's a bit of fun. Well, pleasure.
Thank you very
Great
much.
to have you on.
Okay.
Enjoy the week, guys.
And
Thanks.
you
Same to
have
you,
a good
yeah.
one. Thanks.
As I wandered back to the media centre feeling a lot better about things, the tee times had just been released for Thursday. And so at 6:35 a.m. when you turn on Sky Sports, Padraig Harrington will hit the opening tee shot of the 2025 Open at Portrush. A perfect choice. He's with Tom McKibben, local boy, and Nikolai Højgaard. At 10:09 a.m, Shane Lowry goes with Scheffler and Colin Morikawa. I look forward to Scheffler telling Lowry what's the point as they walk down the first fairway. Rory is then in the afternoon, 3:10. It's a great group for Rory. Familiar friends, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Thomas. And so suddenly Thursday has taken shape. Brian Keogh, as I got back, was busy writing up the news for theindependent.ie. You can read his work there all week as ever. Good to talk to you. I know you're busy these weeks. You're just typing furiously every time I look over there.
Yeah. Well, I was just in Bryson DeChambeau's press conference, and I noticed the tee times that come out, so I had to pop out and just send the website a little bit of news on who was drawn with whom in the first round of the Open, and interesting first round draw.
My memory of 19 was Clark hit the first shot, so up you go, Paddy.
Yeah, Padraig Harrington off first. He said, I just caught a little snippet of him talking on the range there, saying he'll be posing no matter where the ball goes, so Padraig will be holding the pose. It's 80 yards wide, that fairway, so he'll be hitting the first tee shot, and then you've got the Dane Nikolai Højgaard and Tom McKibben, 22, only his second Open and fourth major, so what an honour for him. The home crowd will be really cheering for him.
Rahm was effusive about his live teammate Tom McKibben in his press conference earlier. Can't think of many 21-year-olds that composed, is what he said. I haven't got to know McKibben really yet.
Yeah, he's been remarkably composed. We had a little chat with him this morning after his practice, and he was out there practicing with Darren and Padraig, the three generations of Irish and Northern Irish stars, and they came off at about 11 o'clock this morning. He was super relaxed, just in really good form, just looking to just improve on his major performances so far. He's played very well in the three majors he's played, and he's just looking to just go a little bit further. Funnily enough, as an amateur, he never played in any of the championships, the North, the South, the East, the West, the Close. He never played the North of Ireland here, but he's been a member for 10 years. He knows the place reasonably well. Had a little bit of a boot camp up here with Darren a few weeks ago. Played a lot of links golf with Darren on this course, which is if you're looking for somebody to play Portrush with, I think probably couldn't pick anybody better than Darren Clark.
It's a lovely thing about golf, isn't it, that you'll see at the Masters a Lathabal showing Jon Rahm a certain chipping technique, and then there is the Irish way, which is, Des Smith showed us how to do it back in the day, so now we're passing it on to you, and on it goes. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's in the DNA, I think, as well. It was interesting listening to all the guys come through today. There's been a sort of a theme, over the last 2 days, in the press conferences. One of our American colleagues has been asking guys about, the difference between links and parkland golf, and Rahm very much, embraces that. He'd be the one I'd be really looking at this week to do well. We obviously know he's won, 2 Irish Opens. He won a Port Stewart up the road. He won on the Hinch. He's played in Ballyliffin as well. He loves links golf. He's got a great record in the Open. He's got 3 or 4 top 10s in the Open. So I'd be expecting him to bring out that bit of that Spanish artistry. Somebody mentioned it was 37 years since the Spaniard won the Open. So I think he's due a really big week. And he seems to have that little bit of artistry about him. To be able to work the ball and use the imagination. And then you got Scottie Sheffler, who thinks he's also got the artistry. I don't know. I think he's a bit more of a an A to B player, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes as well. He hasn't quite found his mark yet in the Open Championship, so interesting to see him this week.
We're only at Tuesday. Maybe it's a consequence of McIlroy and Larry speaking yesterday, but this tournament feels ready to start. I mean, we are ready. A whole other day tomorrow feels interminable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, after all the beautiful weather last week, it's sort of grey and overcast. We had a little bit of thunder and light thunder yesterday. We've had some rain. The course is still very firm, actually, and the greens have, sped up a little bit by 1 inch, actually. It's sort of 10 feet, 1 inch, but it's very, very firm out there. The greens are actually getting firmer. And there's a nice breeze out there, especially in some of the more exposed parts of the course. So it's such a great driving test as you go wending between those dunes. There's nothing, you're hitting into angles all the time, so it's just staying in the fairway and out of that rough. I think Robert McIntyre, who was second in the US Open, was talking about it today. You get in that rough and you say, I could get a 7-iron on this, and all of a sudden gets tangled up in the long wispy stuff, and it's headed stage left, and you're in huge trouble. So there's a lot of discipline, a lot of fairways to be found here. It's going to be really, really important, I think, for somebody like Rory especially, to plot his way around nicely and just keep it as much as possible in the short grass.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the attention on the first tee at 3:10 on Thursday. To use completely the wrong analogy under the circumstances and given goings on, but it just really feels like the stage is set and we're ready to light the bonfire here.
Yeah.
And this should be a great open. I really, and all due respect to him, I really, really hope we don't get a Brian Harman thing. I mean, this feels like it's just crying out for one of the home guys, big names, Sunday morning, away we go. Like there's just a palpable big timeness to the occasion already, isn't there?
Yeah. But it's a classic venue already. I mean, it's only the third Open it's hosted, but it's such a fantastic golf course, such a great setting. Great fans. It's going to be absolutely rammed. I mean, 278,000 people or something are going to come in here this week. It'll be a record outside St Andrews. And again, I go back to Rahm. I asked him, what does the Open mean to you? And he just said, it's the special one. It's the one you all want to win.
Yeah.
It's for the history of it. But everything that means. Apart from St Andrews, this is one of the places you really want to win an Open. And I'll be really keeping a close eye on Rahm this week. I really fancy him to be up there.
Same. He's my tip if I had to pick one. Scheffler's still early enough in his PhD in links golf. Didn't play much as an amateur. This is only his fifth. Rory, I don't know. It's just so much room on him. Would be remarkable. Rahm feels like the trajectory. That USPGA on the Sunday, he was right there.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's about to land lovely for this.
Yeah, and there is that narrative, since he went to live golf, he hasn't really been on it. But he's been showing signs in majors recently. He's been thereabouts. And as much as we talk about DeChambeau being a bit of a scientist and not really having that game to hold the ball up or to play with the wind, he was speaking in there now about doing that an awful lot more than he has done in the past. And he's been up there in so many majors recently. While he's such a high ball flight, it's easy to write him off, but he's been there. He's been there so many times recently that it's not going to be a heavy wind week. I don't think. I think it might be reasonable weather-wise. So if he gets a bit of luck with the draw, I'd expect him to be thereabouts. And Rory's playing really well. The last 9 rounds he's averaging 66.5 or something like that. He seems to be over the hump after that win in the Masters. I think we saw it last week. He's just coming into form just at the right time. He's really primed, I think.
Okay, we're ready. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
And so that's us, really. This week feels very ready for Thursday morning right now. Scheffler, Rahm, Rory, take your pick from those three. And to be honest, the next 20 guys could just as easily pip them. As we were saying with Brian, this should be a great Open. We'll chat about it on the show next week. Tomorrow, I am back in the office, but it's okay. It's a fun day. We will be joined by some listeners who are coming to the building to, watch us record a little pod. And we're going to chat some GAA with Joe Brawley, Pat Spillane, Eddie Brennan, John Milan. Now, that's a 4-ball. We'll catch you then.